Why did my mom shoot my sister? What's up, guys? Welcome back to my channel. For those of you that are new and do not know me, my name is Brittany and this is a Geary Party of 5. It's myself, my daughter Eliana, my husband Brandon, and my two boys Brayden and Dominic. If you are new here, make sure you hit that subscribe button, hit the notification bell, and give it a thumbs up if you like this video at the end. So today's video is going to be a little bit different. I'm going to be talking to you guys about someone who is super important to me. I asked you guys on Instagram if you preferred the daily vlogs or if you guys preferred more of the sit down type videos. A lot of people said the sit down type videos, so I'm trying to get more of those out for you guys. So like I said, this video is going to be about someone who's super special to me. It's going to be about my mom. Now, my mom passed away October 13th, 2013, and I always get a ton of questions about what happened. It was the most traumatic day of my life to date. I just want to share my experience with that. It was very traumatic for me, so I think that experiences like that people go through, when you share those experiences, you find other people that can relate to you and people find you as well, and I just think that it kind of helps people. So I want to share my experience. I want to share how I've been, doing since then, and just kind of go from there. I do want to put a huge trigger warning out there. I am going to talk about gun violence. I'm going to talk about shootings, officer-involved shootings, suicide, depression, the loss of a parent. So if any of those things are triggers for you, I highly suggest that you don't watch this video. Just go ahead and click out and don't continue. But first I want to start off with talking about my mom. My mom's name was Monica, and she was an absolutely wonderful person. She was amazing, and I see it more now that she's gone than I saw it when she was here. And that's very unfortunate. I absolutely loved my mom when she was here, but I was really young, and I didn't really get to go into my adult life with her and kind of understand things a little bit more. And so I wish I had more time with her to do that, because I think I really would have appreciated her more if she were here today than I did when she was here, which really sucks. But she was such an amazing person. She was fun and happy and energetic and loud and obnoxious, and she was the type of person that had the worst singing voice ever, and she just sang at the top of her lungs every single time. And I absolutely loved that about her. I do the same exact thing. I can't sing at all, and I love singing. My mom was that mom that all the kids, friends, they all called her mom. I remember growing up and all my sister's friends would call her mom, and she was just that bonus mom to everybody. She really just took care of everybody that she could. She was just such a wonderful person, and I really miss her. I'm really not too sure how this is going to go emotion-wise. I do pretty good talking about it, but then kind of when I'm on my own is when I break down and get upset. So I can't guarantee how this video is going to go. But the day that she died was awful. It was, like I said, the most traumatic day of my life. I'm not happy with the way our relationship was at the time. I wasn't seeing her as often as I had liked. I wasn't really happy with some of the decisions that she was making, and I was probably being a little too judgmental at the time, and I really regret that now. I wish I had spent more time with her. The last time that I saw my mom before she died was September 22nd, and the reason that I remember that day is because it's my sister's death anniversary. And me and Brandon went to get some balloons. We used to release balloons every year. We went to get some, and we met up with my mom, her boyfriend at the time, and we just released some balloons. And that was the last time that I saw her before the day that she died. And I really wish that I got to spend more time with her. So she died October 13th, 2013. So I don't really remember what was going on the morning that everything happened. I think it was just a normal day. My husband's dad was home. My husband was helping him with some yard work, and I had borrowed my mom's camera because I was planning on taking some pictures. And I don't remember if I had already taken the pictures or not, but I was sitting in our dining room, kitchen area, and sitting at the dining room table, and I had my laptop out, and I was looking at pictures, and I can't remember if they were the pictures that were already on my mom's camera or if they were ones that I had taken, because I don't remember if I had already done the pictures or not. But I was looking at them, and I got a call from my mom, and she sounded upset, and she said, "I just want to tell you how sorry I am for being such a bad mother." And she just kept going on and on about how she was sorry for, you know, things that she had done and how bad she was to us. And, you know, I'd asked her, I was like, "Where's this coming from?" My mom did have depression, and she was on a lot of different medications. She had recently had a hip surgery. She had previously had back surgery. And so she had bad days where she would just be kind of down and not very happy. And so it was kind of normal. And, you know, I was asking her what was wrong, and she was just telling me how her boyfriend was telling her that she was such a bad mom. And I wasn't really a fan of this boyfriend. He wasn't the nicest person. He seemed to kind of have some abusive traits, and I just really, at first I really liked him. He was nice. And then I kind of had heard some things from my mom, and I just wasn't very fond of him, which is why I think I kind of distanced myself, which I shouldn't have done. I should have been there for her, and I really regret that. I really wish that, I don't know, I just wish that I was more supportive and just there for her, because she really needed it. So she was just telling me how, you know, she was a bad mom and all this stuff, and I got annoyed, because to me, in my mind, it was just another one of those bad days. Here we go, I have to help mom. Just really being an asshole teenager. You know, I was 18, I was 19. No, I was almost 19. I was 18. Just being an asshole kid, basically, annoyed with my mom, and I told her, I said, "Shut up, Mom." Like, I was so irritated with her. And then, you know, she said a couple other things. I don't really remember what. And then she goes, "I just want to put a bullet in my head." And I knew in the house she had guns. I knew that she had 2 guns. And that kind of concerned me. And then she told me, she said, "I need you to do something for me." And I said, "What?" And she goes, "I need you to tell Brandon I love him and thank you so much for taking care of you and Brayden." And that was really significant, because their relationship was very rocky. They really didn't get along for a long time. They didn't have the best relationship. And so kind of at that point, I was kind of worried, because I thought, that's weird. Like, normally she would not say that. And then she hung up on me. And I can't remember if I tried to call her back or not. I'm pretty certain I did, and she didn't answer. I called my sister. I had a flat tire at the time, so I called my sister. And I said, "Hey, this is what, you know, Mom just said to me. I think we need to go over there, check on her." And so my sister said she would come pick me up. And at the time, Brandon was home, but he was helping his dad. And then my sister-in-law was home, and we didn't get along at all. And the last thing I wanted was for her to watch Brayden. So I was just going to take him with me. And in my mind, it was, my mom's just having another bad day. We're going to go over there, talk it out with her, and she's going to be fine. And I remember Brandon was very adamant. He's like, "No, just let her watch Brayden. Just leave him here. It'll be fine." And I was like, "No, I really don't want her to watch him." And I ended up leaving him. And I can tell you now, like, I have never been more thankful for that decision in my life. Like, it was one of the best decisions I've ever made, to just listen to him. And it was really weird. When I was leaving, he said something to me that really pissed me off at the time. He said, "If she points the gun at you, you need to run." And at the time, I'm like, why would he even say that? Like, what an idiot. My mom would never do that. Like, this isn't even that serious. She's just having a bad day. And I was really irritated that he had said that. So my sister picked me up. I went over there looking like a terrible mess. I had no bra on. I was wearing some yoga pants that had like a rip in my, like on my thigh. And so my sister picked me up. We went over there. We pulled into the driveway in my sister's car. And I talk about this all the time, so I don't know why it's hard right now. We pulled up in the driveway, and we got out of the car, and I had my phone on me. My sister had hers. And we walked up to the door, and my mom had a screen door first, or like a glass door. It wasn't glass, it was like plastic. I don't know. I don't even know. It just had a door. And then she had a regular door behind that. And the regular front door was cracked. And we opened the first door, and then we pushed open the second. And my mom was standing there across from us in the back of the room. And she had a gun to her head. And she said, if you don't leave, I'm going to pull the trigger, or I'm going to blow my head off. Or she said something along the lines of, I'm going to blow my head off. And I think we were yelling at her, telling her to put it down, you know, to stop. And she pointed next to her with the gun, and she fired a shot into the floor to show us that her gun was loaded. That's when me and my sister let go of the door, and we backed out of the house. We didn't even fully take a step into the house. We left to the front, and my sister called 911. Now, some of it's a blur to me. I don't remember all of it because I was just in such like a panic mode. And I remember my sister was on the phone with 911, and my mom kept coming in and out of the house, yelling at my sister to hang up the phone, that if she didn't hang up the phone, she was going to shoot herself, she was going to kill herself. I remember her screaming, hang up the phone now, now, and I had never seen her like that before, and going over there, I really thought that it was just going to be another bad day. I really thought that we were just going to talk to her and she was going to be okay. And that's not what happened. And then I remember she came out and she said, now I've got the big one. She had 2 different guns. And I remember thinking to myself, I don't want to watch my mom kill herself. I don't want to watch this. Like, I don't want to see it. And I remember the last thing I said to her, I looked at her and I screamed at her and I said, are you fucking crazy? And then I'm pretty sure I said to her, you have a grandson, you have children. And I was just so upset, like, what is she doing? And this whole time I'm just thinking, like, no way, like, this is happening right now. Like, I expected to come over here and talk to my mom. And I just expected to have a conversation with her and that she would be better. And so then my sister was still on the phone with 911. And I remember her car window was rolled down. And I said, I'm not going to watch you kill yourself. Or I looked at my sister, I said, I'm not going to watch her kill herself. And I tossed my phone in my sister's window and I started walking down the street. And by then, I remember earlier too, I was watching my mom and I saw a cop car drive by down the street to go around the block. And they didn't have their sirens on, I guess not to spook her or something. And then another cop car, like an SUV, pulled up and there were 2 officers there. And I saw them getting their guns out. They were the big assault rifles, the AR-15s. They were getting those set up. And I think that's when I said, I'm not going to watch her kill herself. And I tossed my phone into my sister's car. And I walked down 2 houses. And my sister stayed there. And I sat right next to a car, like a car tire. And the other 2 police officers were literally right in front of me. And then I saw my sister start backing up across the street, and she, I don't remember which way it was, if the phone was in this hand or this hand, but she had the phone in her hand. I think it was this one, and she had her hand up like this and was walking back, like stepping back across the street. And the way that it was is my mom was here, and I was here, and then my sister was like right in front of my mom right here, maybe like directly in front of her. And my sister was backing up, and all of a sudden I hear a gun go off, and my sister drops to the ground and starts screaming that she's shot. And then the two officers in front of me just started unloading, and they have their guns and they're just walking and they're just shooting. And I was just like, oh my God. And so they kept shooting. It turns out that they fired at my mom 11 times. She was hit 7 times. And 4 of those times that she was hit, she was already on the ground. And my sister was screaming. And all I could get out was, oh my God, is she dead? Is she dead? Is she dead? And there was another patrol car that came up and scooped up my sister and put her in the back. And then he signaled for me to run over there. I did. I got in the car and they backed up down the street where we waited for an ambulance. I remember being really pissed off because the cops were sitting there laughing and joking with each other outside the cop car, just kind of like having a good time. And my sister is shot and hurt. And they're not checking on her, like they're just kind of standing there. And we couldn't get out of the cop car because there's no door handles. You can't get out. And so I was super pissed off, super frustrated, like, why aren't they doing something? My sister's talking about how bad she's hurt and that she's in pain. And I was mad. I was frustrated. And so the ambulance gets there. They get my sister out. I saw the ambulance drive by with my mom in it. And I had to get in the ambulance and fill out a report. And our first thought was, why did my mom shoot my sister? Like, why would she do that? You know? And I was so angry with her at that moment. I was so mad. How could she do this to us? How could she do this to my sister? How could she do this to herself? And they took us to the hospital, and it was chaotic. There were nurses everywhere. There's a social worker, doctors, like everyone's looking at my sister. They're doing x-rays. They're doing all this stuff, all these tests, making sure she's okay, looking at her wound. And I was able to stay with her for a little while. And then they told me that they were going to take her into surgery to clean her out and, you know, see the damage. While that happened, I wanted to call Brandon and let him know what was going on because I hadn't talked to him since I left. And I was able to use the social worker's phone because I didn't have mine. So I called him and I said something along the lines of, hey babe, it's me. My mom shot my sister. We're at the hospital and I'll be home for dinner. And that's all I said, literally. And then I think I asked him to call my dad. I said, please call my dad. Or I don't remember, maybe I talked to him after that and asked him to call my dad, but I asked him if he could call my dad. My dad had a new number that I didn't memorize. I memorized his old number, but the one that he had at the time, I didn't know his number. And so I asked him to call my dad, and I was upset about that because I didn't want him to be the one to deliver the news, but I did. And I just remember I was so mad. I was so mad at my mom, and I just didn't understand, like, why? Why would you do this, you know? I was angry. So they took my sister up for surgery, and my dad came down. My husband, well, he was my boyfriend at the time, he came down with his mom, and I didn't cry at all. I was okay. I was shaking like crazy the whole time. I remember when they asked me to fill out the incident report in the ambulance, literally right after it happened, I was just shaking. Like, I could not stop shaking. And I hadn't heard anything on my mom. And, you know, I was outside with my dad. He was having a cigarette. One of the officers came up to us, and I don't remember what he wanted, but he let me know that my mom was still in surgery. And then we went upstairs to the cafeteria. Went upstairs to the cafeteria, and we were eating. It was me, Brandon, his mom, and my sister's ex-husband David was there. And the social worker came and she found me and she said, can you please come with me? And so she took me to a table by myself. And she said, I just want to tell you that your mom didn't make it. Your mom is dead. Or your mom died. I don't remember exactly. I think she said your mom is dead. And I didn't know what to say. I was so mad at her. And I think I was just in shock. And so I think I just said okay. And she asked me if I had any questions or if I needed anything. And I said no. And I went back to my husband. And I told him and he hugged me. And that's when I cried. I just cried. And that was the first time that I had cried since it happened. And I just remember being so hurt because my mom's gone. But I was so mad at her. Like, why would you shoot your daughter? Why would you do that? I don't understand. So then I had to go to the police station for questioning. They wanted to interview me about what happened. So my husband's mom took me up there. And they asked me their questions, and it's literally like it is in the movies. You go into this tiny little office with this little table, a couple chairs, and the two-way mirror. And they ask you some questions, they record everything, and then they leave you alone for a minute. Most uncomfortable thing ever, because I'm sitting in there thinking like, oh my God, do they think I did something wrong? Like, do they think I had something to do with this? Like, what is happening? Like, I felt like a criminal. And I got to go back to the hospital after. My sister was out of surgery. I called family. And I went up and I saw my sister. And I remember just sitting there and we were talking. And, we were thinking like, my sister was shot like in her hip area. And we kept thinking with the way that she was facing and where my mom was, how in the world she would have had to like hook the bullet to hit her. And we were just thinking like, how in the world did she do that? How did she manage to shoot you in that spot from where she was and the way that you were facing? And we just couldn't figure it out. We were like completely like mind blown and angry. So angry. And then we went home and my husband stayed home with me the next day. I didn't sleep at all. I didn't sleep at all for like the first 2.5, almost 3 days. I didn't sleep. Couldn't sleep. And I was just so mad. So mad at her. And my sister called me the next day. I was home. And she said, I need to tell you something. And she told me that an officer had come down and told her that it wasn't my mom that shot her. It was another officer on the other end. And they had a communication error when talking about what side of the street my mom was on. So they were supposed to shoot my mom, and instead they shot my sister. And I can tell you, I have never felt sick to my stomach in the way that I did right then. Like, that was a really bad feeling for me. Part of me was relieved that it wasn't my mom. And then part of me was really, really pissed off at myself because I didn't have more faith in my mom. I didn't protect her. I was quick to say, how could she do that, and be angry at her. So it was really crappy for me because I felt really guilty that in that time that she was alive, and I'm sure she was suffering and in pain. All I could think about was how mad I was at her. And that sucked because I would have liked to have known that it wasn't her right away, because then I wouldn't have had all that anger towards her, and anger that really she didn't deserve. And it was an awful feeling. It really was. So, it was just terrible. You know, I told my husband, and, you know, we let everyone know that it wasn't my mom, and, you know, that was a good feeling that it wasn't her, but it also really, really sucked. It also made me wonder, I still wonder to this day, if the officers that shot my mom knew that the other officer had shot my sister. If they hadn't started shooting at my mom right away, I really think that she would have stopped. I think she would have put the gun down, and I think that it may have gone a bit differently, or at least I hope it would. But I'm also a firm believer in everything happens for a reason. But I still really have some mixed feelings about that day. It's really hard for me because my mom died while she was trying to kill herself. But then, like, she didn't kill herself. So technically it's not a suicide. But then some people are saying it's suicide by cop. But then in my mind it's like, well, like, she didn't shoot my sister, so she didn't expect them to shoot her. I don't know. I have really mixed feelings about it. I still struggle with it a lot today. I struggle a lot. And I think the more time that goes on without her, the more I struggle. Especially because of my kids. My mom was the best nana ever. Ever. And it makes me so sad that Dominic and Ellie never got to meet her. And Brayden wasn't even 2 when she died, and he's missed out on all of that time with her. She was the best nana ever. She was the type of nana that, like, you crawled into bed with and you had sleepovers with, and, you know, you made cookies together and you snuggled in bed in your pajamas, and it really hurts me that my kids don't get that with her. It really hurts me. And she's missed everything with me. You know, she was there when I graduated high school, and she was there for Brayden's birth. But she's missed my wedding. She's missed Dominic's birth. She's missed me, you know, going to college. She's missed me having Ellie. And it's just, it's rough. And I think I struggle more with it now than I did before. And I think about it every day. I think about her every day. And I think right now I just miss her, you know? She was just such a good person. And I really wish that I had appreciated her more. Really, really wish that I had appreciated her more when she was here. Because she was fantastic. And it sucks that it's taken me so long to realize that, and that I didn't realize that when she was here. And that's really the crappy part about, you know, life and death. You take everything for granted. And once it's gone, you really realize how lucky you were. And I was lucky to have her. Really lucky. Brayden's been struggling a lot. He gets very sad. He doesn't remember her. I mean, he'll talk about her. He knows who she is. All my kids, well, I mean, I still tell Ellie about her. She doesn't talk about her, obviously. But Dominic talks about her. And we talk about how Nana's in the stars. And when butterflies go by, that's Nana. And Brayden has really been struggling. He'll cry because he misses her. And he'll randomly just say, Mom, I'm sad. And I'll ask him why. And he says, I just miss my Nana. I wish she was here. And I have to say, the one thing that I'm so, so thankful for is that I did not take him that day. I don't know if that would have changed things. But I don't want to know. Because there's absolutely no reason that a 1-year-old needs to be in that situation, and I'm very happy that I didn't take him with me. And the reason I did this video is I get a lot of people asking me about what happened to my mom. It's all over the news. I think the hardest part for me after that was it was plastered all over the news. And all the headlines were, you know, she shot her daughter. And she, you know, people were commenting on there that lived on that street about how they saw her do it, and she's such a terrible person, and she must be so crazy. And it was people that, like, they were nowhere near the situation. And that was the hardest thing for me, was just trying my best to ignore those comments. And so we knew the day after it happened that my mom didn't shoot my sister. It wasn't released on the news until over a year later that my mom didn't do it. For a whole year, the news kept saying, Monica shoots her daughter. And it was awful. It was so awful, especially to see people slandering her name like that. I get a lot of people that sit there and tell me, well, if you try and kill yourself, you're selfish. And I don't understand how you could do that to people you love. And it's like, I used to probably agree with that until I was put in that situation where it was someone in my life that it happened to. And I don't think my mom was selfish. I think that she was struggling a lot. And I think that she needed help. And I feel really guilty, and I should have been there for her more. I'm very fortunate that while my sister was injured, she's alive and healthy today. That was a hard day for me. Most traumatic day ever. And I'm still dealing with it. I struggle every single day. And I don't think it ever gets easier, honestly. I lost my sister in 2006, and I still struggle with that too. So I don't think you ever really get over it. You just learn to cope with it, and I'm still learning. My mom's loss was the hardest loss I've ever had, and it's been rough, but that's it, guys. Go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Reach out to people if you need help, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.